Hey guys, Mike here. So, oh boy, woo, what a day in the market. I mean, goodness gracious, Jerome Powell came out swinging from the Fed, and it was pretty interesting. If you didn't watch it today, I'm going to go into like the most important things he said. I'm going to show you my favorite moment of the hearing, of course. And, you know, obviously you can probably tell if you're looking at your phone or your computer, the markets didn't like it. They went crashy, crash with a quickness. And of course, they're not crashing, but just getting crushed. And, you know, it was one of those things where we said, watch the tone, right? Is he going to come out and he's going to be talking about deflation, disinflation, you know, pauses and all that? Or is he going to go the opposite route? And boy, did he go the opposite route. And he said certain things that made the algos go, oh my goodness. And we're going to get into all that, the dollar, all this other stuff. And if you just look right here, I mean, our boy Nicky Leach came out again, and he said, hey, Fed Jerome Powell is likely, here it is, to caution on Capitol Hill that stronger economic activity could lead U.S. central bank officials to raise interest rates more than they had projected, and that came out at 7 a.m. So there's your warning of what's about to happen, right? And then what happened is his speech gets leaked out to the public, of course, and this is one of the first things that tanks the market. If the totality of the incoming data indicates that faster tightening is required, we are prepared to accelerate rate hikes. Now, this right here is the minute chart. I sped it up to 20x for you. And as you can see, algo's kicking immediately. This is exactly at 10 a.m. when the speech is released, and they don't like it because no human being can read that fast, right? So they sit there and boom, it just starts tanking. See that blue line at the bottom there? Pay close attention to that because that is this right here. That right there is the daily options expected move, the bottom of it. It bounces exactly right off that. I love the bounces. Everybody knew it was coming. We're sitting there talking about it. I'm watching on Twitter and other places I pay attention to. And it's like, watch this bounce right here. And what's funny is, I actually put in the Discord this morning. I have a sneaking suspicion a lot of people jumped into puts around the 401 level, but don't forget the option daily expected move is 400.50-ish level. Let's see if it holds right now. I can hear ODT put premium screaming for help as it trades sideways. Of course, as I type this, we get the bounce, lots of laugh. And then, of course, I come back and say a few minutes later, now they have burned all the put buyers. I am waiting for a U-turn to trap the calls. And, of course, there it is. As you can see right here. And then, of course, it dumps and gets all the call buyers caught in there. And that leads me into my favorite interaction between him and the senators. And, you know, a lot of people are trying to score political points and everything with people who vote for them and stuff. But this is between him and Senator Warren. Just listen to this really quickly.
Hardworking people who have decent jobs today, who you're planning to get fired over the next year, what would you say to them? How would you explain your view that they need to lose their jobs?
I would explain to people more broadly that inflation is extremely high and it's hurting the working people of this country badly. All of them, not just 2 million of them, but all of them are suffering under high inflation, and we are taking the only measures we have to bring inflation down.
And putting 2 million people out of work is just part of the cost, and they just have to bear it?
Well, will working people be better off if we just walk away from our jobs and inflation remains 5-6%?
And so look, both people make good points. Nobody wants 2 million people to lose their job, right? Of course, as Jerome Powell said, what do you want us to do? Just leave inflation where it's at? It'll crush people over time. I mean, that's just not going to work, right? And so, you know, but it is funny because you can tell, I mean, she don't know anything about economics, whatever it is, but this is a different fight. This really is. This is like, I was thinking about this on the way home, like, this is the first time we have ever had a worker shortage, right? This is the first time I can remember. Let me know in the comments if you've ever seen one in America. But an actual worker shortage is causing this problem. That's why you see so many outstanding jobs that still hadn't been filled, right? Even with 3.4% unemployment, right? You would think everything's filled, right? No. And so you imagine if all those jobs ever really got filled, what the unemployment rate would go down to. And so both make good points. But here's the scary thing, and this is the scariest thing to me he said during that whole time. He says, we have many unusual factors affecting inflation and don't think anyone knows how this is going to play out. And that's what's scary, because think about it. This guy, unlike politicians who screw up every day and don't know what they're doing, this guy is making, and his team is making decisions that absolutely affect everyday Americans. Absolutely they do. Well, what did he say? He said last month, the models aren't working. Not working. Everything they learned in the textbook, all the years of experience, out the window, because they don't know. And so it's pretty scary to think they're up there, they're literally just working in the dark. We're just going to keep raising rates, following the old playbook. Even though this doesn't apply to this playbook, is what it is. We'll see how it turns out. And that's why I hear people talking about soft landing. I'm like, when somebody's telling you their models aren't working and they have no idea, the person pulling the trigger here and his little cronies, and they're telling you they have no idea how this is going to work out, boy, that makes you feel comfortable, doesn't it? I'm like, wow, and so again, I understand we got historical data to go off of. It's all you got to go off of. But in this case, that cannot make people feel good. Does it make you feel good when you hear the guy pulling the trigger saying, I have no idea how this is going to go? No clue. We don't know. Models aren't working. Textbooks don't tell us anything. It is what it is, right? And so, and again, until you see all the job openings go away, that's got to happen first, a lot of it, before you're going to start seeing a huge bump in unemployment, right? And so, and again, what's leading the market right now? What I showed you guys last night for those who actually did watch the video, it's like travel stocks and stuff. Airbnb, I believe it was green today, right? And the market was tanking, didn't matter, right? Casino stocks, things like that. That's what's leading the way right now, right? Industrials. And so, and I'm not trying to say, somebody say, you seem super bullish. I'm just showing you what's leading the way. I'm not, nobody ever accused me. I'm not in any camp. You can be in all those camps all you want. RD, bears, bulls, whatever camps. For me, I'm just going by what data I can find and trying to figure out the stuff, right? And don't get caught. You get caught in those camps. That's why you get caught in there and you get mad when it goes the opposite way or whatever camp you're in. You're like, oh my God. Because you're in one of those camps. Why are you in one of the camps? Just think for yourselves. Use the data. You know what I'm saying? And just, again, find people that it works. That's why I try to bring you guys people that works. Mike Wilson was working all last year, right? What is it? Dan Niles was working all last year. Nicky Leaks right there. He seems to still be getting fed stuff. So you use them until you can't use them anymore, right? Who was wrong all last year? Tom Lee. He's still preaching last night, even before this happened today. He said, he's going to come out and say 25 basis point hike. It's going to be bullish. I mean, and that's all he preaches is one game plan. So I guess he just sticks with it and it works. But, be careful about folks like that, I guess. But, what happened though? What's the market got to do now? Now the market has to sit here and try to figure in, wow, I think it's going to be a 50 basis point hike. And look what happened. Look at that right there. What a difference a morning makes. 69% now for a 50 basis point hike coming up on the next meeting. I mean, that is a huge, huge shift, right? And then look at the 2-year. Hadn't been this high since 07. And I mean, every time we think, oh, it can't go any higher, it keeps going higher. And if you get anything out of this, guys, please hit that like and subscribe button. I really appreciate it. And if you're new, think about subscribing. If you like this content, I really appreciate your support. Now, of course, what's going to happen? Everybody's going to run out there and say, this is the end of the world. We're going back down. We're going to break October lows. The market's going to crash and burn 20 to 30% now because this is happening and all this other stuff. And I like this meme. To me, this meme just describes what the people are trying to do in the market right now. Just trying to figure out, man, which way is the market going? We up, down, we sideways, we 3,900, we 2,300, 4,300. Like, what's fixing to happen? And, when you look, what held it today, right? The 50 moving average. You can see once it hit that, it just kind of trailed across it, hugged it. But also keep in mind, what else happened here? You got your weekly expected move for the options. It stopped about, I think it was 61 cents right above that. The weekly expected move is about 397.07. These weekly expected moves are something to pay attention to because it's a thing you do not want to get too far outside either way, right? You start getting too far outside either way is what we talked about with the gamma squeezes. That's what's going to happen. You're going to see a crap ton of hedging that wasn't supposed to take place. It was not calculated to take place, and that's what's going to happen, right? So we have to see because we saw this the other week, right? We got way below it right out of the gate, and people are like, oh boy, this ain't good, okay? And so pay close attention to these levels. The options, calculate this for a reason. And normally we stay, like almost 70% of the time, in between ranges and stuff. And you saw, I showed you the daily. Like, bounced right off of it, just like that. Okay, that's why these ranges aren't made up for nothing. I mean, options run the market. Who runs the options? The market makers, right? And so that's something you got to keep in mind. Plus, don't forget liquidity also makes market move up and down, which is something we talk about a lot in the Discord and stuff like that. But look at Apple. Here's another. Look at Apple right here. I thought this was perfect. Apple, biggest stock out there. What did it do? Sold off, and then what did it do? To the penny. Look at that dotted line. Close that gap. That's where it bounced. That's what saved Apple for the day. If it wasn't for that gap, probably would have kept going. But it didn't matter. And now we're gonna see if this guy's right. This guy's really smart. Again, I try to bring anybody to the channel, to you guys, or you can follow him. You got to follow me or anything. Bring them to you. You can follow him yourself. But this guy, remember, he runs the volatility index. We just heard him the other day say, don't worry. The Fed just wants to sell calls, not literally, by the way, and I'm going to show you that. But he came out today and he reiterated, even after the sell-off today, he said the Fed needs to keep to fight inflation. That's a problem for these markets. But at the end of the day, the Fed doesn't want any liquidation, right? He runs a volatility fund, so you ought to know. The Fed wants vol dampening. They want to sell calls in the market. That's what they're doing now. If we scroll down, you can see right here, I like to look at these. This is exactly what this guy said, which makes sense. You understand this. So basically, they want an orderly, choppy market wherein we don't fall hard/fast beyond support, but each time we get close to an uptrend, they will jaw us back into Chopzilla. And he said that because right above, people said, what do you mean the Fed's selling us calls? And then in discourse, somebody asked me that, and we joked about it. And, you know, I said, no, they're not literally selling calls. But then somebody said, well, you sure? Because they bought corporate bonds at one point in time. And I said, well, no, I said, yeah, you're right. Maybe they are. Because obviously they bought corporate bonds at one point in time, which I believe is illegal, but nobody cares, right? And so they just do whatever they want to do. And so, of course, they're not, I don't think, physically selling us, you know, or selling us the calls or anything like that. But, you know, if you notice, he's right, because what have you seen happen? Each time you think, oh, man, this is it. We're going down. Boom, they step in. Or, oh, wow, we're fixing to go way up. And they step in. They just try to keep it right in that chop box. So we don't stay in that range on accident, right? And so, and some people enjoy it. Some people don't. I always say, you know, if you're a swing trader, day trader, you're loving it. And if you want to, you know, in a way, you want a time to actually accumulate your money, to accumulate shares at a certain price, you're probably enjoying it too for certain stocks, right? Because they're just range bound, right? And so, again, it depends on how you look at it. I always say, like I said back in December, I'd rather get the pain over with quickly and go ahead and just keep doing 75 basis point hikes till you crash the market down and complete your mission. But then again, what they just do, if they go up 50 basis points, and why this is important, what does that create in the market? Uncertainty. You ramp this down from 75 to 50 to 25. And if you go back up to 50, does all of a sudden 75 come back on the plate? Is that what's fixing to happen? But you create this uncertainty, especially when he says, well, you know, we don't know how this is going to turn out. Okay. But again, also, what is the market? No. We're definitely close to an end in the beginning. And I mean by, we went from 0%, we'll be over 5% by the next rate hike. Mathematically, I don't see how they can go over 6. You just don't. Right? Again, in the 70s, they were able to go up 20% because we didn't have a big debt. Now we're sitting there with 32 trillion. What is it? You know, trillion here, trillion there. But you still have to service the debt. Plus, on top of that, companies still got to raise capital. I mean, you saw the amount of bankruptcies. My God, if you keep going up, right? And I mean, you want to continue to go up. That creates major problems on many fronts. And one thing they don't want, not just a liquidation in stocks, they don't want a credit crisis. That's more than anything what they don't want. Stock market can go down, whatever, but they don't want a credit crisis. That would be devastating, not just here, but around the world. Okay, and so that's what you got to keep in mind as well. And I'll say this, the market is pricing in now, I think it's no rate cuts this year. They're pricing in to be above 5, I think like March of 2024. All right, what was the big theme from October to, you know, beginning of February? Oh, we're going to have cuts in June, you know, which I think all of us are sitting there going, what? Why would they do that? You know, unless we hit a recession. That's the thing. That's why they're talking about this, breaking something. And I mean, how people can actually justify a soft landing is beyond me. But then again, this I keep telling people, this employment market, man, it's like nothing we've ever seen before. It's like they're following the script from every other time, but the employment market is not following the script. It's never been like this before. And so, let me know what you think. I'm just spitfiring here, my thoughts, but that's just what I'm thinking. But right now, what's the market going to try to do? It's going to try to basically probably stay in a chop box, go down some, but it's going to sit there and try to price this in. Maybe it's a 50 basis point hike. But the good thing is it shouldn't be a shock to the market, right? Because now it's being priced in. Nikki Leaks has put it out there. Jerome's put it out there. So we're not trying to surprise you. Doesn't mean they're going to do it, but odds are, right? They've been pretty right on about this, okay? The real big thing is about inflation. Is inflation going to stay sticky, or is it a once-off? That's what we got to look for. I told you yesterday for the goes to watch the video, the 4 events coming up, right? So go back and watch that. I'll put it at the end if you haven't seen it. Those are definitely going to affect the markets. But until we get out of the freaking chop box, really, it's all just noise, isn't it? That's really what this is. It's all just noise until you get out of this chop box. But I don't know if unless we get way below, 2 standard deviations below the week we expect to move for options, I just can't imagine us getting out of this chop box. Now, if that happens, you can definitely expect some downside for sure, right? Again, that's what a lot of people are worried about happening. We'll see. But as far as like news driving it down or driving us up to all-time highs or whatever it is right now, it's just not being allowed to happen because you got options and you got the Fed trying to keep you reined in. And so we'll see how it goes. Let me know in the comments what you think. You want to stay range bound? Want to go to all-time new highs? Want to break October lows? You know, what do you want to do? All right. So please let me know if you got anything out of this. Hit the like, subscribe button if you did. And I will see you guys tomorrow for what is probably going to be a very volatile day. All right. Because remember, old Uncle Jerome, Papa Powell, speaks tomorrow again. Oh, yes, he does. All right. See you tomorrow.